For your Agamograph practice, what I would like you to do in these two spaces is make two different pictures as the directions in step 1 say. But what you must do is not just make them different, but make your pictures opposites. You can interpret opposites in many different ways. So here's one that hasn't been cut and assembled yet. So we have the past with dinosaurs and the future. Those are opposites. Those are something that would work well for this project. On these finished examples, you'll see that this picture was ice and this picture was fire. But obviously they did a much better job of drawing the characters fire and ice and not just drawing a ball of fire and an ice cube sitting there. I chose to pick enemies, so I've got Princess Peach from Mario and King Koopa or Bowser, I can't remember who he is, it's been a while, to show my opposites. So it could also be something along the lines of scary or stormy versus happy and good weather. But your pictures not only have to be different, they have to be opposites. And as you can see from all of these finished examples and this one here, make sure the entire rectangle of the worksheet is fully drawn out and colored before you start to do any of the cutting and gluing that comes next. So to complete your Agamograph, you can see there are pretty clear directions up here. Number 1 is already done right here. We have two different pictures, one in picture template 1 and a different one in picture template 2. So 1, 2, completely done. They should really have no or very little white space. So mine has some white space in the clouds and in the guy's toenails, but that's it. It's really all that should be there. And then we're moving on to step 2, which is not even on here. So this should be number 2. Cut out the picture templates and the base template along the bold lines. That means I'm just going to go ahead and cut these out. So you can see how the background and the two pictures will fit together on there, only they have to be cut up so they can alternate back and forth. Your directions tell you to go ahead and start cutting and gluing and wait to fold, but I would rather have you fold everything first and then glue. So the folding is the hardest part of this project. Where you need to fold is on the lines between the sections on this big background piece here. That means it's little, and you're going to have to carefully pay attention to where your folds happen. So each and every one, pinch and carefully fold. So this one is a mountain fold, the next one has to be a valley fold, meaning it goes in. The way to do that is to take this line that I just folded, skip the next one basically, and bring it to the following line. That way, when I undo the fold, I should have a fold right there on that indent. So again, one line you make a mountain, you bend it backwards so that you can see that fold. And the next line you kind of skip over, going to the next one and making them match. Back and forth, alternating to make a zigzag. Don't fold in the middle of the white space. Fold only on those lines, or you will have problems with your Agamograph. So now I have my two pictures and my big background piece is all folded in an accordion fold, zigzags up and down. I messed up earlier when I said we're not going to follow the directions exactly in the way that I said we're going to skip. I want you to wait to cut out your strips on the dashed lines until you folded, so you can cut and then immediately glue, because these little things are easy to get lost. So I'm gonna have to kind of flatten this out to glue stuff, but that's okay because it'll kind of remember how it's supposed to go. So you can see we have letters and numbers. Numbers are on one picture, letters are on the other. I can start with A here. I need to cut it on the dotted line carefully so it fits in the spot correctly. I need to put glue where A belongs. I skipped number 1. Look at that. We'll have to go back to number 1. So glue where A belongs and put it in its spot. And then looks like I'm going backwards to number 1. Try to make sure they match up well at the top and the bottom. And continue in this manner, back and forth, till you get all the way to the end. So now that I'm done gluing all the pieces, I just kind of need to recrease everything so I get a nice sharp fold, because this is not an Agamograph, this is just 2 pictures glued together. But I need to get my zigzag situation happening, which should be pretty easy to do since everything is already creased. And as long as I didn't glue across the creases, which does happen, then it should just kind of refold pretty simply. So as long as I keep track of the in folds and the out folds, it should fold right back into place. And then I should be able to look at my picture from one side or the other side to see everything add up and see my princess and see my Bowser. So it just depends. You can kind of decide how far apart you want to pull them. And on our final official one, we'll mount it on a background so that you can't accordion it, stretch it in and squish it, but you'll be able to just have it stay in one spot.